Okay, students, so today we are going to review the properties of rational exponents, do some example problems, and then we'll get into some harder problems. But as a quick review, uh, let's look at our properties. So our basic properties. Well, this one is a product of powers. We have the product, two powers. So in that case, I just simply add the exponents. Here's a power of a power. In that case, I multiply. Here's a power of a product. So a power of a product, in that case, the exponent gets distributed to each one of those bases. Here's the negative exponent that says that to get rid of the negative exponent, I bring it on the other side of the fraction. This is a quotient of powers, which says that if I have like bases, I subtract the exponents. And here is a power of a quotient, which is simply means I have to distribute that exponent to each one of these bases. Alright, let's look at some example problems. So this is a product of powers. So I simply add the exponents, which gives me 4 to the 2/3. Alright, if I look at the second one, b. Well, one way that I can do this is I can separate this by saying, I'm going to distribute this 2 to each one of these terms on the inside. So that 2 is going to go on the outside here and on the outside here. And this brings me to a power of a power. When I have a power on the outside of a power, I simply multiply. And I get 7 times the 2/3. This one is 2 to the first. And this would be my final answer. Now I can't combine these because these have different exponents. Alright, another example. Let's say we have the cubed root of 3 times the cubed root of 9. Well, first thing is, just like in a square root, I can combine these. So I can combine, if I had the square root of 3 and the square root of 9, remember that was equal to the square root of 27. Well, I can do the same thing here. So I'm simplifying. So this becomes 3, or the cubed root of 27. And now here we're saying, oh, what number multiplied by itself 3 times equals 27? And if you think about that, that is 3. So what number multiplied by itself 3 times is 27? This is equivalent to writing it as 27 to the 1/3 power. So 3 multiplied by itself 3 times equals 27. Okay, let's try this one. We have the 4th root of 32 divided by the 4th root of 2. Well, let's combine these because this is both of these can be combined under the same 4th root. And this root should go over the whole thing. So that gives me the 4th root of 16. So what number multiplied by itself 4 times gives me 16? And the answer is 2. Another example. Let's say we have 5 times 3 raised to the 1/3 power plus 4 times 3 to the 1/3 power. Well, my first step is let's evaluate. You can think of this one as factoring out the 3 and 1/3. Both have 3 and 1/3. So if we factor that out, the 3 and 1/3, what I'm left with is 5 plus 4. Or you can think of these as like terms. If you had 5x plus 4x, then you're given 9x, which is what we have here, but in this case our x is 3 1/3. Okay, what number multiplied by itself 3 times gives me 3? Well, this is tricky. You might think that the answer would be 1, but it's not 1 because 1 times 1 times 1 is equal to 1. So in this case, we can't simplify down any further, so we're just going to leave it like this. Alright, let's try one with a variable in it. So we have the cubed root of 27 z to the 9th. So when we solve this, this is going to be equal to the cubed root of 27 times the cubed root of z to the 9th. When we do that, well, what number multiplied by itself 3 times is 27, and we get 3. And in this case, remember that this is z to the 9th to the 1/3 power. And that's the same as 3. If I multiply these, that's z to the 9/3, which gives me the final answer of 3z cubed. Alright, let's try this one. We have 4y plus 10 square roots of y. Well, these are like terms, so I can add those. So that gives me 14 square roots of y.